government, then they need to say that that is the case, and then it does become a government matter.
We're run out of time, but do please stay with us, won't you? Well, now to gun crime, which has been on the increase in the UK for 10 years. One of the main problems is imitation guns, apparently, which a lot of young people are carrying because they think it gives them some sort of street cred. Well, a Bristol rapper called Kells is worried, and he's been on the streets trying to increase the peace, as Scott Ellis reports.
There's a few people that I went to school with that aren't here no more. They didn't even make it to the age of 25, let alone 30. I just don't want it to be another case where more people got to die before it's addressed. The struggle still continues, like Trevor McDonald, we're bringing you the tougher issues.
Kells admits that without gritty, inner-city Eastern life, he'd have nothing to sing about.
We was being on the top of Fresco, looking down on Eastern, cause the reason was escapism.
His latest CD was inspired by gun crime, supported by 20 musicians and paid for with a £2,000 grant. We met Kells as he took his words onto the streets.
Here it is, and they are free of charge. If anybody brought this, you need to chase down the person who sold it to you because they are free of charge. It's free, it's a community-based project, it's increased the peace. Everybody in East and St. Paul's gets a free copy. It's for free, man, of course it is. It's to stop the violence in the community, you know what I mean? To stun all the gun amnesty thing, you know what I mean? Yes, sir. Blessed love, Bridget, man. Press play when you get home, bruv.
Kells is Eastern born and bred, so guns have always been somewhere in the background. But he and other youth workers are worried that youngsters are turning to guns more and more.
Do you think there are kids in Bristol who've got guns that work?
Yeah, it's easy to get, no problem to get. I mean, it's just like getting a bag of crisps in the shop sometime, you know what I mean, to get a gun.
How young would you say some of the people that you know have guns are?
From the age of 13. 13, definitely. I know from the age of 13.
You know that?
Yeah, I know that. One of the reasons, as I said, protection, one, as I said, glamorization, fashion accessible, scary. There's some horrible people out there, so the only way they understand is to leave me alone, is holding a gun up to them, or maybe shooting them, or maybe stabbing them, to realise that I'm not a person to mess around with.
It's quite worrying.
It's worrying, but it's real. You know what I mean? It's real. It's the real deal, Holyfield. I was like going to tell you, man, this is truth. I'm speaking nothing but the truth, I'm speaking from the heart here, nothing like the heart.
Kells hands out CDs at an inner-city music group. It was while teaching that Kells noticed youngsters were writing about guns and knives. It may just have been they were imitating grown-up rappers. Either way, crime is never far from view.
On my way down there just now, I just see like an ambulance and the police at the top of Stapleton Road, and they're telling me someone got stabbed or something, so that's just a good 5 minutes ago.
We arranged for Kells to meet with Bristol's top gun cop.
They address anybody carrying a gun, but they don't address the issue of how it's coming into the community.
Okay. Two different takes on inner-city life here. Kells says guns are a problem going unreported, what he calls under the radar. Officially, though, figures show that gun crime is very low in Bristol.
I can tell you we've executed in the region of 80 warrants in the last 12 months, searching premises as a direct result of information from members of the public. Interestingly, as a result of that information, we've only recovered about a dozen firearms, and a large proportion of those firearms are weapons that have been altered. They're replica, imitation weapons that have been altered. So it suggests that whilst there is a concern, and we're not complacent by any means, the level of firearms out in the community is still relatively low, and that's the way we want to keep it.
Gun crime may be down, but police forces are armed and ready. These are Wiltshire's sharpshooters, most likely to be called in for drug-related law enforcement. But the Home Office is also aware of a new and worrying trend, a 55% rise in crime involving imitation weapons and more youngsters carrying real or replica guns to boost their image, a trend Kells is hoping to change through music.
A young person is more likely to listen if it's coming through music than if you're there talking down to them, you know what I mean? Music talks to them and not down to them, so I think it's better to do it through music.
That's no fun. You think what you're doing before your life's done.
The police are impressed. They want to keep up Bristol's better-than-average record on gun crime. They may yet help Kells by printing more Increase the Peace CDs, in the hope the message keeps getting through.
Well, Kerry McCarthy is still with me this afternoon. The word on the street seems to be that this is a huge problem, yet the police are being quite reassuring, aren't they, and saying it's not that big. What's your take on it?
Well, I think if you look at figures for how many incidents that have actually been reported involving guns, the figures are quite low in Bristol, certainly compared to places like Manchester and London. What I think is of concern is the extent to which there's a hidden problem, and it certainly seems from the report that people who live within the community feel that it is a bigger issue than the police are aware of.
There seems to be some sort of subculture going on, doesn't there? Sort of a gun culture, in our community.
Yeah, and I think there's obviously an element of bravado in that there will be people that pretend to be carrying guns and talk about guns who don't actually possess them, and people sort of waving around imitation firearms that have got no intention of actually using a real weapon. But that still doesn't mean that we shouldn't be concerned about it.
Yeah, all this at the time when our country's never been richer.
Yeah, and I think this is increasingly a problem in that you have a significant, but small group of people that haven't yet been helped by some of the government reforms. It's the sort of people within the sort of ordinary working class strata have been sort of helped and lifted out of poverty. But then you have people that are living outside the law, outside the mainstream of society, and particularly in areas like Eastern St Paul's, people who are involved in drug dealing and involved in the gangs, that we need to do more to reach them. And I think what's good is the community is getting involved, because the police can't do it by themselves, government can't do it by themselves. It's got to be the community as well.
Thank you. Nice to see you this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Now, lots of us have been receiving the credit card bills after